Texas Governor Greg Abbott, he's blaming undocumented immigrants for the spread of COVID in Texas, the potential spread of COVID in Texas. This is while also criticizing Joe Biden for calling his decisions to reopen and lift restrictions on COVID and mask mandates in the state, quote, Neanderthal thinking is what Biden said. So the governor took straight to Twitter, first of all, to do this. And he said, the Biden administration is recklessly releasing hundreds of illegal immigrants who have COVID into Texas communities. The Biden administration must immediately end this callous act that exposes Texans and Americans to COVID, because the Biden administration is releasing them specifically for the sake of spreading COVID, specifically in Texas, according to Governor Abbott. So he also followed up those comments, and he went on CNBC to speak a little more about the both the undocumented immigrants and also the Neanderthal thinking line. Let's see what he has to say.
Well, first, of course, Joe, it's not the type of word that a president should be using, but candidly for him, he couldn't have used it on a worse day, because the day he used that word, his administration has been releasing in South Texas immigrants who came across the border that they refused to test. It turned out there were more than 100 of them who had COVID. My point is this: the Biden administration has been releasing immigrants in South Texas that have been exposing Texans to COVID. Some of those people have been put on buses, taking that COVID to other states in the United States. The Biden administration must stop importing COVID into our country. That is a Neanderthal type approach to dealing with the COVID situation.
So it seems like it's a bit of deflecting the attention from maybe the bad attention he's getting for his decisions to reopen the state at a 100% level. I'm not sure if he was expecting that part, but as you can probably also say, from the Independent, they also said he also defended his decision by stating that coronavirus infections were at a quote 4-month lows, but the average has increased in the last week. Texas recorded 7,822 new infections on the 3rd of March, according to the COVID Tracking Project, which was a 1.9% increase over the last 7 days. So as you also might be able to guess before you guys jump in here, every time that there's a relaxing in the rules, you just might get a few more cases, because that's just the way normal things work when it comes to something like this kind of virus. So following this ease in restrictions, Texas coronavirus hospitalizations spiked from an average of 2,000 to nearly 11,000 from early June to late July. The state also saw between 3,000 and nearly 15,000 new COVID-19 cases each day, peaking on July 17th at nearly 14,916. As you can imagine, I think this is trying to go from the original thought of what's gonna happen with this decision to then, after potentially it does happen, Greg Abbott trying to make sure that the blame goes somewhere besides himself or anyone else that was a part of this decision. Maybe I'm off. You guys let me know.
Yeah, no, you're not remotely off. So first of all, I want to make a couple comments on the Neanderthal situation before I turn to the racism. So let's note the irony that he started by saying, can you believe the president used a word like Neanderthal? And at the end of the interview, he called him a Neanderthal.
Exactly.
Okay, so just noting the irony. Second of all, speaking of irony, no one who supported Donald Trump is ever allowed to pretend to be offended by anything, period. So I'm done with that. Number three, if you guys don't like cancel culture, what happened to the Neanderthals, just so you know, and comparing someone to a Neanderthal might be saying that they're actually a good and decent and peaceful person, and species at least. We killed them all. We canceled the entire Neanderthal species, humans did, by murdering them. So just so you know. So you should actually, if you want to insult someone, maybe you call them a Homosapien. Anyways, now I'm just getting you facts, that's my job. Now on to the bigotry part. Yeah, it's okay. More people are gonna die because I removed the mask mandate. And in fact, as Jayar showed you, they're already getting hospitalized as we speak because of my actions. Squirrel. Or in the case of Republicans, Latinos, okay? So immigrants and they're getting released. Well, hold up. They were in detention facilities in Texas where you guys bungled the care they were supposed to be under. So some of them got coronavirus. Well, that's kind of on you, right? And then when they're released because you're holding them against the law, that's also on you. You then say to everybody, now remember, don't wear a mask. Wait, how is that not on you? Right, so even if you were concerned about, oh my God, brown people are being released and 6% of them have coronavirus because of what I did to them. Hurry up and take your masks off. How does that make sense?
I have this theory, actually, that this goes farther back. And if you want to talk about Neanderthals, I mean, last I checked, Neanderthals, they didn't have electricity or power. So in that way, a lot of Texans perhaps are feeling what Neanderthals were thinking. And Greg Abbott, what is it, 60 people in Texas died because of the deregulation of the electricity and the power, and because of the winter storm that came in, and 4 million people who didn't have power for a week. So Greg Abbott, embarrassed, I suppose, about that, and thinks, I know how I can change the subject. I can say, we're gonna open up the state 100%. Everybody take off your masks, do whatever you want. And joy, look at this. We are the free state, the Lone Star State. Texas is ahead of everybody else. And suddenly, instead of talking about the electricity crisis, which Republicans own, now it's, Greg Abbott deserves some credit for taking off the masks. And then he gets walloped for it. And he's thinking, no, wait a second. What happens if more people die because now of COVID-19? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Well, you say, well, the only reason we have COVID now is because it's the Biden administration has changed the immigration rules and is allowing more people in across the border. And therefore, the Biden administration is the boogeyman when this doesn't work out. And what Greg Abbott gets to do is, by the way, he wraps some of this into a kernel of truth. Yes, there are a few more people who are showing up at the border. And yes, COVID-19 cases are gonna go up in Texas. And what he's able to do is, we're having this bizarre conversation about Neanderthals and presidential language instead of, is it wise to be opening the state of Texas? Shouldn't there be some aftermath in terms of what happened in Texas with the electricity and the power? And Greg Abbott gets to dismiss all of that. It's brilliant, but it's also evil and sickening.
That refocus of that kind of question is something that doesn't happen, or maybe he doesn't want to make sure anyone asks him, because then he'll have to actually confront that particular issue. And we've already seen it has to be some kind of an emotional connection, or to make sure, or emotional outrage, in order to make sure that his constituents or the people that voted for him are still on board for this maze that he's trying to send everyone through. So the Neanderthal thinking has become the new deplorables. It worked pretty well after Hillary Clinton said it during the election in 2016. And that galvanized all this support from people. How dare she call us deplorables? Can you believe it? Never heard of a term so bad as deplorables. Now Neanderthal thinking is the worst thing they've ever heard, because except this instance, as you guys have pointed out, after 4 years of Donald Trump, I'm not sure how they can go back and let everyone know, like, our feelings are hurt. I've never seen a politician speak like this. I don't understand why he's trying to tear us down and destroy us. Donald Trump said blue states can go away. And then if they go away, the coronavirus will be great in America. He said things like this. This is not just from Donald Trump. Bill O'Reilly, way back in the day, wanted the Quake Tower to get blown up in San Francisco. It doesn't matter. If there's libs there, if there's people that disagree with you, they can die and we'll be better off. Those things somehow just don't stick. Instead, we're discussing about deplorables. We're discussing Neanderthal thinking. We're talking about Mr. Potato Head instead of what's actually happening in the country. And that's the plan.
Yeah, so I love what you guys are saying. First of all, on the deplorable / Neanderthal point, at this moment, the number one campaign Republicans are on is this nonsense about cancel culture, right? At least the way they frame it is nonsense. And so one of the things that they want to be able to say is the N-word. So they're like, can you believe they're canceling us because we want to say the N-word? They called us a Neanderthal. Oh, is that the new N-word? Oh, get off of it. Which one is it? Do you want to be able to say terrible things? Or are you like deeply offended? Somebody hurt my feelings. Cancel Joe Biden. Come on, guys, get real. Nobody believes you. You're all frauds. It's the most obvious thing in the world. And then I love the point that Dave was making about layers of distractions, right? It's like a rabbit hole of distractions. Okay, people froze to death because I deregulated the energy industry and I took millions of dollars from the energy industry to do that. Okay, then he said Neanderthal. Okay, it's the immigrants. Okay, well, none of this worked. More people are dying. The mass. Okay, damn it, that didn't work either. I'm wearing women's panties, and a Muslim trans woman made me do it. Okay, it's just like there's no end to it. And this is a lesson they learned from Trump. A less bad distraction is better than the awful controversy you were in the middle of. So just distract them. It doesn't even matter that you're also going to get blamed for that. at least it's not as bad as the first thing we were talking about, where your decisions led to a lot of people dying because you profited off of it. Like he's like, well, at least when I'm killing people off of COVID, I'm not profiting off of it. Okay, and then one more here. To be fair to the political calculation of Greg Abbott, when people are outraged by him removing the mask mandate, that's largely sane people, not his base. His base is insane, so it is not a controversy that hurts him too much with his own voters. In fact, other Republican governors, including Jim Justice in Kentucky, are mad at Abbott for stealing the spotlight, for being the most brutal Republican governor, the one that is most ignorant and most opposed to science. He thinks, oh yeah, this was a political trick to try to get credit with Republican voters. I think his instincts are exactly right, because Republican voters are like, oh, you don't agree with science and you want to do something that kills more of us and everyone else? Oh, this guy's good. Maybe he should run for president.
Well, it's also he's planting the seeds, and I love that point. That I mean, you've got, and I think, look, you've got the point of Greg. Nobody who's in the right mind would actually think to blame immigrants for a rise in COVID-19, but by Governor Abbott being the first, he's planting the seed so that when the numbers do start to go up, you can say, see, I was right. The numbers went up because of immigration, because of all these brown people who are crossing the border. And that way you can say, well, it has nothing to do with the fact that we're removing the mask. I warned you about these immigration people, and therefore it's Joe Biden's fault. Like, it's always somebody else's fault. It's always somebody else's fault that people froze to death. It's somebody else's fault that we have COVID. In this case, I suppose he wants to blame Joe Biden for COVID as well. It's gonna be Joe Biden's fault that the numbers go up in Texas. And because, to your point, there are the rather uneducated folks in Texas who support this, they'll believe it. Whereas the rest of us, the rest of the rational, intelligent thinking people, even in Texas, are saying, who would even think to blame immigrants for COVID? And so it strikes us as surprising and shocking, but there's Governor Abbott saying, I told you so.
Yeah, last couple of clarifications here. First of all, I don't know why I got it stuck in my head. I said Jim Justice from Kentucky 2 days in a row here. He's from West Virginia. He used to be a Democrat. He flipped over to being a Republican. He's the richest guy in the state. He's perfectly corrupt and terrible politician. He just happens to be in West Virginia, not Kentucky. And then secondly, for Abbott, he's like, remember when we blamed Chinese people for coronavirus? That worked pretty well, especially with our voters. They're like, oh, we get to blame someone that doesn't look like us. Yes, right? He's like, why don't we just pick a new ethnicity? It's not just the Chinese. It's also the Latinos, and the Republican voters go wild.
I'm waiting when it's black folks' turn.
Oh, it's coming, and that'll come. I mean, that feels like the direction that we're softening the field for that. We're making it rational and acceptable to blame right now the Latinos, the immigrants, whatever it is. It will come around, because once you let this start, there are people who will take it to the next degree, who will lower it even further, who will debase the argument even further. So I just think it's a matter of time. Black people, Jews, it could be.
By the way, that also happens.
And that's happened. I mean, it just, that's the direction that this particular party and the fringe in this party, that is the direction they have been going and are still going.
Yeah, they'll say that the Jews started coronavirus in the first. They've already done this. That's why I'm telling you. And they'll say the Jews like Dr. Fauci. I'm like, and Tom Hanks and Bill Gates, none of them are Jewish. What the hell are you guys talking about? Okay, but they're not. So
they could have started coronavirus because they were too busy with that space laser that Marjorie Taylor Greene said that was starting the California wildfires, that the Jewish whatever it was. I mean, there are people who believe this. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of them are in Congress. A lot of them are in Congress.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, Jayar. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.